Hey girls, I hope you had a great weekend. Today is Monday, May 11th, and we are going to be working on lesson 13. Our I can statement. I can add decimal numbers by converting to fraction form. Now, we've already added fractions, so this is going to bring in some review of stuff we've already done. And today we're going right to the whiteboard. So today we're going to be adding decimals, but before we add them, we're going to be converting them to fractions. So in my first example, 6.4 plus 1.3, 6 and 4/10 plus 1 and 3/10. These examples are not in your packet. We're going to do several examples having to do with this topic, and then I'll do one or two examples from your packet. So I know that when I add fractions, I add mixed numbers, mixed fractions, I add the fractions, I add the whole numbers. 6 and 1 is 7. 4/10 plus 3/10 is 7/10. So 6.4 plus 1.3 is equal to, now we're going to finish our decimal sentence, but write it as a decimal. So I have to think, how do I write 7 and 7/10 as a decimal? 7 and 7/10. I'm actually going to put a little line there so we don't get our examples confused. So the next one, I have 4.72 plus 3.12. 4 and 72 hundredths plus 3 and 12 hundredths. Which is equal to 4 plus 3 is 7. 72 hundredths plus 12 hundredths is 84 hundredths. How do I write 7 and 84 hundredths as a decimal? I'm going to finish the decimal number sentence now. .84. Now let's do some examples where we're going to end up with an improper fraction in our answer, and then we're going to have to do a little bit extra work. So I have 1 and 7/10 plus 6 and 35 hundredths. Well, I know when I add fractions, I have to have apples to apples, and I don't have apples to apples here. So I'm just going to rewrite that 7/10 as 70 hundredths. I'm going to add my whole numbers and my fractions. One plus 6 is 7. 70 hundredths plus 35 hundredths is 105 hundredths. So I end up with an improper fraction, and I don't want to leave it like that. I know that 105 hundredths is 1. And 5/100ths. So now what I have is the 7, another 1, and the 5/100ths. So that makes my final answer 8, 7, 8, and 5/100ths. Now I have to think about how I'm going to write that as a decimal. And remember, these are hundredths. There's no tenth in front. 8 and 5/100ths. Let's try another example like that. Let's try 7 and 5/10ths. Plus 4 and 61/100ths. Now, I'm going to rewrite my decimals as fractions first. 7 and 5/10ths. 4 and 61/100ths. I don't have apples to apples. So I'm going to rewrite that 5/10ths as 50/100ths. Now I can add my wholes and my fractions. 7 plus 4 is equal to 11. 50/100ths plus 61/100ths is equal to 111/100ths. I know I can get one whole, which is 100/100ths. And I still have 11/100ths left over. So now I have my 11, another 1, and 11/100ths. 11 plus 1 is 12. And 11/100ths. Going back up to my decimal, 12 and 11/100ths is 12.11. So now we're going to do a couple examples from your problem set. So if you're looking at your problem set, we're going to do examples B and C together. Example B reads 6 and 62/100ths plus 2 and 98/100ths. So the first thing we're going to do is write them as mixed numbers. So now I'm going to add my whole numbers, 6 and 2, which gives me 8. And I'm going to add 98 and 62, which gives me, and if you have to, you can always do it over, like at the side of your paper. Oh, it's 160. And then just erase. Eight and 160/100ths. Ooh, yikesers. So I know again, that 100 hundredths is 1 whole. So if I take 100 hundredths out, I still have those 60 hundredths. I have my 8, I have another 1, and I have my 60 hundredths. So that gives me a final answer of 9 and 60 hundredths. I'm going to go back and write my answer as a decimal, 9 and 60 hundredths. Is 9.60. Last example for today, letter C. 2 and 1/10 plus 0 and 94 hundredths. First, I'm going to write my mixed numbers, 2 and 1/10 plus, if you want to put the 0, put the 0. Or you don't need it. 2 and nothing is 2. Oh, wait, what did I forget to do? I forgot to make that 1/10 into 10 hundredths. Ooh, thanks for catching me. I know one of you probably said, wait, Mrs. Forbes. Whew, now it's apples to apples. 10 hundredths plus 94 hundredths is 104 hundredths. I know that 100 of those hundredths is 1 whole. It's easier to write 1 whole than 100 hundredths. And I still have 4 hundredths. 2, another 1, and my 4 hundredths. Gives me a final answer of 3 and 4 hundredths. 3 and, I don't have any tenths, 3 and 4 hundredths, my final decimal answer. So what you're going to do is finish your problem set. If you need to look back at the examples in the video that we did, please do so, especially if you get a little bit confused. I know you're going to do a great job, and I will see you tomorrow.